Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Sharon Let's Live with Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist. Hey, so today is a little different. It's still empowering. It's still empowerment. Sorry, you're the first person I've spoken to today. It's still empowerment, and it's about like healthy shit. So this is what happened. My friend sends me a message and she's like, did you know that the processed food industry is pretty much owned by like 3 of the biggest tobacco industry moguls or whatever? And I'm like, wait, what? and and I was just like, that's wow. And she was basically saying like that these individuals or these companies, whatever you want to call them, because I can't remember. I could go back and read the message if you'd like, but I'm not gonna. So yeah, but basically she was just like, these 3 entities, when the decline in cigarette usage started to fuck with their profits, they were like, oh hell no. and they bought out the processed food industry. So they were able to find a new habit forming way to keep their customers coming. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But it was more like the way I worded it when I posted the blog I wrote on Facebook based on my findings was, have you ever been shocked but not surprised? And so I was shocked but not surprised when I did a quick Google search. And now that they've got that AI feature that just like can look the shit up for you, it basically was like, yeah, it's totally true. And I was like, damn, because it's been little things. Cause like when I wrote the blog, it was like, as I was writing, I was like, actually talking to this friend helped me think about this differently, and my daughter helped me think about this differently, and my friend just told me about this thing with the cigarette industry, and that had me thinking differently. And the reality is all of it had me thinking differently, because now as I think about it, even my massage therapist is also a personal trainer, and I was talking with him about like losing weight and that sort of thing, because I was significantly smaller the last time that he had, given me a massage, and I was just like, I don't know, I was probably chit-chatting out of a little bit of insecurity. I mean, he's not that dude, but at the same time, it just, it's like you're naked in front of a person. You just kind of, like, hey, that extra roll over there, that's because I was depressed for 6 months, like whatever. So I'm like talking to him about that type of stuff, and he actually helps clients, I think primarily women, but yeah, clients. He helps clients lose weight. What the hell was that? Anyway, so he helps clients lose weight, and he was, kind of giving me a couple tips on things that simple things that are important. And he was talking about how we don't realize how much effort it takes to burn off the snacks that we consume, and basically the amount of working out that's required, like to burn off like a handful of chips. It's so ridiculous that that's part of the reason why we can't lose weight, because we out eat our workout. And particularly like with the chips and shit like that. I mean, look it up. Like, pick whatever your favorite chip is. Look up how many steps you have to do in order to burn off I won't, say a particular name, but it rhymes with Orito. So just look it up. You will be in shock, because basically we're like, all I had was half a bag of chips. Why is that a big deal? I used to eat a whole bag. This is progress. It is kind of, but it ain't gonna really show, because you're probably not walking enough to burn off one of those damn chips, much less half a bag. Yeah, and it can be really frustrating, and it can make the weight loss journey quite seem like an impossible thing. But one thing that I learned, I was actually These commercials actually really annoy me because I refuse to pay for like the full version of YouTube. So one day I was watching YouTube or listening to music probably, or Abraham Hicks or somebody, and one of those long ass commercials like, why don't you get your own TV show level, why is this so fucking long, commercials came on, and the woman was talking about weight loss. And I actually listened because at the time I was very much like, like that was something I was interested in at the moment, which is probably why the ad played for me, because one of them people has been tracking me, um, and they're like, oh, she's into weight loss, hurry up, send ads. So anyway, so this ad comes on and the woman is basically talking about like these, it's always like 6 tips for blah, 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 or whatever. So she's naming off her different things. And one of the things she named that really caught my attention was preservatives. And I'm a person, like, if you can explain it to me, you got me. Like, if it makes sense to me, I'm on board. Not on board enough to like buy her product. If I had the money, maybe. But on board enough to say like, oh shit, that actually makes sense. So basically what she was saying is that the concept of a preservative is that it's made to keep the food from breaking down. It's like, duh, yeah, we know that. But we don't think about it. That if we're eating food that is processed in a way to keep it from ever breaking down, that just because we chewed it up doesn't mean that that process ends. It just does the same shit in our body. So when we I'm sorry, these fucking fruit flies. I hate this time of year. Okay, no, I don't. I love being alive at this time of the year, and I'm going to do better about addressing the fruit fly possibility, which is really hard because I have ADHD and keeping up with all the cleaning is really tough on me, but whatever. Okay, so back to pardon my ADHD sidebar. They're in every episode, so just bear with me. Anywho, so the woman's talking about preservatives, and basically she says that what happens is, that the food goes into our, our stomach or whatever, or, in our digestive system, blah, blah, blah. Whatever happens, it goes in there. It goes in our body. And what normally breaks food down in our body is like, bitch, I can't get in here. So instead of it breaking down, that shit just stays there. And then, then we go and eat another handful of chips and that shit stays in there too. And it can't break down because our body is not equipped to break through this chemical barrier they created to keep the food from breaking down. So eventually it starts to add up. And I was just like, that is some really fucked up shit. So I decided like, oh my God, I'm so determined. Like, fuck preservatives. That shit's scary. So a combination of things happened. So it was that experience of learning that on the YouTube thing. It was my daughter. I'm trying to think I think my friend was the last step. So I'm trying to tell it in order, but fuck the order. It doesn't matter. Just all of these related. So talk to the massage therapist and he's like, do you have any idea how long it takes to break down a blah, blah, blah chip? And I was like, oh my God. So I look it up. Damn, he's right. Then my daughter is like, it used to really piss me off, I'll be honest, because I don't, I talk about it all the time. I don't have as much money as I would like to have. And I have had less years prior. So I would buy stuff and it would be like, okay, I'm going to just buy this in bulk because that way she'll be able to have it. So, if she wants a little snacky snack, she can have herself a little fruit cup or whatever. And those bitches would just sit there. And I'm sitting there like, that's money on the shelf. Why isn't she eating this shit? And I don't eat the same stuff she eats. Not saying that I didn't eat other versions. It was just like, we don't like the same fruit. Like, we don't like the same type of fruit cup or whatever. So I would buy the kind that she eats. And that shit would just be sitting there. And I'm like, why the fuck isn't she eating this? And eventually I started to realize that she wasn't eating it because it had been there too long. And I'm like, who cares how long it's been here? The date says we got 3 more years on these. And one day, around the time that I started like having these thoughts about preservatives and all that type of shit and eating better, I did the same thing. And I'm like, why the fuck won't she eat this shit? We got like 2-3 more years of this. And then it clicked, like, the fuck? Why would she want to eat something that can sit on the shelf for 2 or 3 more years? Why would she want to eat that? You know, like, it's unnatural to eat food that's lasted that long. So when she's like, it's been here 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, it's got preservatives in it. You could eat this shit for 6 more years. She's looking like, it's like a major duh face that she's giving me. Like, you can't eat food that's been sitting in the house for 2 weeks. And I'm like, yes, you can. They fixed that for us. But then that day, I heard what I was saying. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. She's not all tainted like me. Like, I've been, eating processed foods my whole life. So I never really thought about it. But then I looked at it and I was like, why would I want to put something in my body that can sit on a shelf? Like, it's foods. And this is like more recently I've actually paid attention to it. I'll go in the grocery store, because I, slip back into those aisles. But I go to the grocery store to buy like a can of, I don't know, tomato paste or something, making something new. And it called for tomato paste. And I pick up the can and I'm like, damn, this can got dust on it. How long this motherfucker been in here? And then I look, hasn't expired yet. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I could dust that one off and take it home. There is no reason for us to be putting shit in our bodies that can sit on a shelf long enough to collect dust. There's something very not right about that. But it's so much that we are so used to that we don't even think about. So anyway, so a friend of mine we talk to each other every day, like we chat, and she's just like, she keeps telling me like, girl, I lost a couple more pounds. Girl, I just looked at the scale. I've lost 10 pounds. Girl, I lost blah, blah, blah. I was like, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I just meal prep. I like cook real food. I only eat real food. And she was like, so now I think I'm going to start adding a workout to it. And I was like, wait, you ain't even been working out? You just eating quote unquote real food? And I was just like, that shit is crazy. So I was talking with another person and they were talking about all the weight that they lost purely because they eat a big meal like kind of midway through the day and they don't eat after a certain hour. They don't eat much of anything after a certain hour. And I was just like, that is wild. So I decide, you know what? Let me do my own version. I'm just going to stop buying food with preservatives in it. As much as I possibly can, I'm going to stay out of those fucking aisles. I'm going to be out here on the outskirts, buying my meats, my produce, and just trying to just eat what I know I'm supposed to eat. Eat like the people, like I heard somebody talk about, eat like a caveman or whatever, basically just living off of what would be natural, like what came out the ground, or if you aren't vegan, what once walked or swam. So, so back in the day, oh damn, I guess it is back in the day. I was about to say that's an exaggeration, but shit, 20 years goes by quickly. So there was this book that I had in my alternative medicine class. In the book, it gave a list of like the different kinds of seafood and which ones had the most toxins, which ones were the healthiest. So I looked at the ones that were the healthiest ones, and I started to only eat those because I like giving up meat primarily. Like that was 2001. I stopped eating like chicken, beef, all of those people. And I had just stuck to seafood. So I, found in the book, and it was just like salmon, tilapia, mahi are the healthiest foods. They have the least amount of toxins, and and all the other shit that I used to eat had plenty in there, like catfish, perch, and all of them. Black folk food. I'm just playing. It's not just us, but we could tear up some catfish. So I always had like an odd thing about catfish. So I was kind of glad to hear that catfish was not my friend. But anyway, So I'm like happily eating these foods. And then like people started doing these reports about tilapia and how it's unnatural and all this shit. And I'm like, I've been eating tilapia for 20 years. That is not like a new fish. But I guess people were new to hearing about it. But I did notice that the texture was different. It tasted different. The texture was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just seemed like it had been working out in the gym or some shit. So I stopped eating it too because the texture was different, not just because people thought it was a fake fish. But what I noticed is that everything that we decide is now the healthy food becomes the new thing that has toxins in it. Like being able to find like healthy salmon is hard because everything is like farm raised rather than wild caught. And it can get really, really aggravating. It can get really, really frustrating. I stopped drinking dairy a long time ago and I started to drink soy milk and I was so like, oh my God, look at me making my healthy choices. And then I found out that soy was mostly produced here and that it's like covered in toxins and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, God damn it, will these people let me live? And it could be really, can be really frustrating. Like was trying to do a little veganism thing and I was still doing like processed stuff because I didn't know how to make that shit myself. And I got so upset because I had been like eating these foods that I'm thinking are like fully vegan. And then I realized it's got like chicken juice in it and shit, with eggs and stuff. And I'm like, I'm vegan. Oh my God. Why did they say that it's chicken? And they actually have chicken in it. Like these evil people. But, and the thing is that like I'm saying, like it can get really discouraging. However, we can just choose to do what we can do. We can choose to make the shifts that we can make. Like we don't have to give into the discouragement and decide, well, fuck it, we gonna die from something. Like we can still like make some changes. Like for example, I started to stay out of the aisles and I was only doing, like I was barely touching bread just on occasion, but primarily I was, getting my vegetables and my seafood and I was making everything myself. And without even really trying, I was just tired of them putting shit in my food. I was shifting because I didn't know what was in it and I just wanted to eat foods where I knew what was in it. And people started to, like friends and family would see me kind of randomly because, I don't leave my house. So, I mean, I do, but it's just to take my daughter to school or go to the grocery store, gas station, pretty much. So people would see me at like, family function or something. And they're like, you losing weight? And I'm like, I don't know. I ain't doing shit. Because I had just kind of gotten used to just cooking my own food and thinking about it. I mean, not thinking about, I wasn't like doing anything like dieting. Like I don't do anything with dye in it. It just doesn't sound like a good idea to me. So anyway, they're asking me like, what did I do? And I was like, I ain't doing nothing. And then it clicked like, oh my God. The only thing that I've done is that I've stopped eating foods with preservatives. And that in itself was causing me to visibly lose weight. So the thing about making your own food and eating in a healthier way in that regard is that it takes effort. And if you like are kind of burned out, it might be a little easier to like, you know what? I ain't making my own pasta sauce. I'm not making my own pasta. I'm going down this aisle and I'm gonna grab a box and a can. Like it can happen very easily. And it's like, because of the habit of doing it over so many years, one little, I'm just gonna buy one little bag of chips turns into, I'm gonna just buy a little bigger bag of chips. Okay, I'm gonna just get the family size bag and then we'll just split it into snack bags. Okay, I'll just get the box because the box has them already in the little bag, and it just kind of can creep back up on you. And just like that, it didn't just creep back up on me in practice. It crept back up on me in the form of, what is this hanging over my pants? And I ain't never had no Dunlap, like your belly Dunlapped over your pants. Like I had never had one of those. I wasn't about to be out there with my stomach out, but it wasn't because it was hanging over my goddamn pants. But just by returning to the aisle, I developed, something that does not belong in front of me. And now that my friend has told me about that people are gaming us so that they can make profit off of our illnesses, well, we already know that probably. That people are profiting off of our illnesses. Like when I look at the amount of money, if you had any idea, I don't know if you have anyone in your family who's diabetic, but diabetic medication, the prices for that shit, I mean, it is out fucking rageous. Like $400 for 6 injections. Like ridiculous. Ridiculous. But the thing is that everybody's in bed with everybody else. You know, the industry that makes you sick is also the industry that makes you well, quote unquote. You know, like they all in it together, and they like, you know, doing the thing. Like, I don't know if you used to watch Scrooge McDuck, how he'd be like swimming in his money and his coins and stuff. They're like watching us get sick while they like swim in that money, and it's just sickening. Anywho, but all we can do is what we can do. And that's what I plan to do, because yeah, Dunlap is not for me. So we're gonna get back out those aisles. It's time to get back to the produce section and get back to making my own stuff. And even honestly, even if you're making things that aren't like this is gonna sound bad, but just follow me. Even if you're making foods that aren't purely on the healthy side, it's still better than that shit that's on the shelves. Because if you make it, you aren't filling it with all those goddamn preservatives. Like, it's meant to be burned off in a day or so, you know? Like, I recently found a no-bake cheesecake recipe. Oh my God. Stuff is so delicious. I've been making my own whipped cream. I had no idea how easy that was. I accidentally made my own butter while attempting whipped cream for the first time. Because apparently if you keep whipping that shit long enough, it turns into butter. Learned that the hard way. But it was also kind of cool because it's like, oh my God, I can make my own butter. So I actually know what's in this shit. I can adjust how much salt I put in it. Oh my God. Yeah. So even by eating like, you know, cheesecakes and shit like that, one, I'm not going to eat that shit all the time because I don't like the effort that it takes to make it. So that's a good way to like slow that down. And making it myself, I know what I put in that shit, you know? And anyway, I hope that this was in some way supportive to you. If you want to read, I mean, you can just Google it yourself about the cigarette industry owning the processed food industry. That shit's crazy. Or you can check out the blog post that I wrote on this concept because I was just like flabbergasted. Anyway, we can take control of our lives little by little. We don't have to feel completely under the thumb of other people who want to profit off of us. You know, we can just find ways to still live empowered lives. Yeah, and that's what I plan to do, and hopefully you will too. This is Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist with Share and Let's Live. Have an amazing whatever time of day it is for you. Blessings! Share and Let's Live with Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist is a free daily podcast. If you would like to send a gift of support, please visit mdillondesigns.com/support. To learn more about me, Marlene Dillon, Empowerment Specialist, please visit mdillondesigns.com. There you can find more podcast episodes, you can read my inspirational blog, you can check out my online store of personalized gifts featuring the characters from my empowering children's book, I'm Proud to Be Natural Me. You can find parenting resources, including my online communication course, Healing Our Families, Healing the Parent-Child Relationship. Please follow and share if you found this podcast inspiring. Thank you.